Thanksgiving. Um, weather's really nice outside, so I decided to sit out here and I got my new little toy. I got my new gimbal right here that I'm learning to work a little bit. So hopefully, picture looks pretty good. I had to clean my phone because my lens was so so dirty. It looked like it was a foggy day outside. Um, I wanted to talk to you today about why I enjoy fly fishing. I get this a whole lot from people that don't fly fish, people that uh, watch me fishing, and they're kind of in awe of why in the world would somebody do that. And I wanted to talk about kind of the whole experience and what I experienced uh, when I kind of changed over from conventional fishing to the sport and really kind of the art of fly fishing, and why it's had such an impact on me. And I think a lot of this is just sort of a personal thing with people, how they view the sport of fishing in general and why they do it, and how it affects their lives. But I know that growing up in sort of a wild environment that I did, I fishing was always my sort of escape. And so when I was a kid and I wanted to get away from all the craziness in my life, I'd grab my little Zebco 2202 and go dig some worms out of the pile of leaves, and I'd go down and I'd go fishing. And that's how I learned to kind of escape all of the things that I didn't want to be around growing up. And then of course I just fell in love with the whole sport of fishing, and so it became just another you know an obsession. And so I hang on 1 minute. Would you turn that down, please? Sorry, I had to get the volume control for this TV because my partner's in there watching it, and I can hear it. It's driving me crazy. Anyway, so I was exposed to fly fishing when I was real young, probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9. And I met my great uncle in Gunnison, Colorado for the first time. And he knew I had a strong passion for fishing. So he took me down to the Gunnison River. He pulled out a fly rod and tied on a fly that he had tied. And he started catching big trout. And I had never even seen that. I'd never been exposed to it. I had no idea what it was about, and I fell in love with it. Just sitting on a rock on the side of the Gunnison River, uh, many, many, many moons ago, and I came back. And of course, growing up in Dallas, fly fishing there just wasn't a good outlet for it. Wasn't a place to go, or and there wasn't really anybody to talk to about it. So I had to just figure it out for my own. And so I would, I saw a fly reel in a sporting goods shop at Sanger Harris department store in Preston Center. It's not there anymore, but it used to be. And it's before the North Dallas Tollway was built, and it was all railroad tracks back then. And so I would ride my bike across the railroad tracks, and I'd go and I'd stare at that fly reel down in that little glass case in the sporting goods. And I was in awe, man. I thought, boy, I got to have that. And I went and I mowed yards, and I was mowing yards for 50 cents for the front and 50 cents for the back. And that's if I was able to use your lawnmower. And I saved my money and I bought that doggone fly reel and some fly line and all the little things that went with it. And I had no idea how any of it worked, but I just put it all together, and I put it on my Zebco 202 fishing rod. I didn't even know what a fly rod was. And I went down and I caught perch, and I had a great time. I really did. I fell in love with it. And as time moved on, I moved past it and went through life, and got through to to where I was fishing. Uh, Kind of got away from it, of course, growing up and being in high school and a couple of years in college and all that stuff. And then I went back to fishing again, and I had never lost track of it. Even when I always had a fishing pole with me. I was traveling around with a backpack and a guitar, and and in the '70s, and you could hitchhike back then safely, and I always was able to go fishing wherever I went. So it was a lot of fun. I fished all over the Northwest. I fished all over a little bit in Canada, places like that where I was just kind of hobnobbing around with uh, with my thumb sticking out to get a ride. And then I had an awesome girlfriend. She was good, and she actually stuck with me for that whole adventure, and we lived through it. Ended up back in Denver, and worked there. I never skied. I never fit. Never did anything there. All I did was work. I came back home to Texas, and I was still a young man. I came back home to Texas, and I just conventionally fished for years. I did a lot of fishing for bass tournaments and regular type fishing that we do around here. And it was a lot of fun. I fell back in love with fishing, got back into it, saved my money, bought a boat, got married, did all that kind of stuff. And then something happened. I went up to New Mexico to visit my sister, and we went fly fishing, of course, and I fell all in love with it again. And one of the things that I love about fly fishing is fly tying. I love the idea that I'm building my own baits and I'm catching fish with them. It's really fantastic. It's a great feeling. And yeah, you got to get in there and experiment, and you've got to, buy a little vise, a little cheap vise. I started out with a real cheap little vise, and then you can go on and buy, you can actually buy a starter kit for fly tying. You get a little vise, you get some materials, and I think the materials you could tie a woolly booger, and you might tie a streamer or something. And now back when I started, we had VHS tapes, and so I'd plug in the VHS tape, and I'd watch a fly tire, and of course I had books, and so you had a lot of books, and so that's the process you have to go through, and until you get to where you kind of start developing. First of all, you have to figure out whether you like it, whether you want to keep doing it, and then you go through the process of sticking with it or not sticking with it. And I stuck with it. And the more I tied flies and the more I went fly fishing with my flies and caught fish, the more addicted I became, because it's not about going out and catching a ton of fish. It's about going out and taking your creation, this fly that you created, and catching fish with it. I don't think that you can I don't think that you could put a value on that. When I was in junior high school, I had a friend, and we had shop classes back then, and so we had a wood shop class, and I had a friend that was making plugs. He was making poppers and stuff, and with balsa wood and in wood shop. And he came up to me because we had all these creeks we fished. I grew up fishing creeks and small ponds around Dallas. And he came and he says, man, I've been tying these. I've been catching all kinds of fish on these balsa poppers. I've been building in wood shop. And so I tried it out with him, and it was really fun. And I didn't understand at the time the part that made it interesting was the fact that for him, he had built these lures, painted them, put the hooks on them, did all that stuff, took them fishing, he caught fish with them, and he it was wild. He just loved it. So that always kind of has resonated with me through my fly tying part of this adventure I've been on in fly fishing. And then, of course, along with that, you become more obsessed with the art of fly fishing, because it's not just grabbing a nice bait casting reel and chunking a piece of plastic with hooks on it out in the water. This is there's a whole different sort of you know action required in fly fishing. You're trying to get the perfect loop with your fly line. You're trying to hit the target. You're trying not to hook yourself in the ass. um, and when all of that works, and I'm fly fishing, I've got everything working, then all of a sudden I realize that I don't feel anything. I don't feel my movement. Everything is going so smooth. Everything's working really good. And that's when I'm in that kind of groove. And when I was conventionally fishing, I had the same thing. I would kind of feel like I got in a groove fishing. I could fish all day and not feel a thing other than catch a fish, of course. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that so that you understand and people understand what brought me here and what could bring you here if you want to give this a try. It is a truly awesome sport. It's a lot of fun. It's meditative. You get out there and kind of get into this, uh, or I do anyway. I get into this sort of zone that where I can just turn the whole world off. You know, just turn it off and fish, and that's what's really fun. So give it a try. If you want to go out and try it for a couple of hours or 2-3 hours, give me a call 469-446-8508 or contact me Alex at flyfishfork.com and I'll be happy to just take you out. We'll go give it a try. No charge. We'll just go have some fun and see if you like the whole idea. I want to tell you ladies something too. And I've always said this since I started guiding. I think women adapt to fly fishing very well because I've always said that the thing about fly casting is that fly casting is about timing and not about strength. It's about timing. You don't have to be really strong. It doesn't hurt. I mean, you need a little bit of upper body strength just to hold a rod, regardless of whether you're fly fishing. But women adapt to it very well because there's these subtle little things that you have to do. When men are challenged, men just the first thing we think of is pull harder, push harder, punch harder. You know, we think about strength because that's what's built into us naturally, or that's what our testosterone does to us and our sort of genetics of being male. Um, if something doesn't work, hit it harder, kick it or whatever. Women, they want to think through, and this has been my experience with women fly fishers. Uh, they're more analytical, and so they'll kind of go, "What do I need to do to work this out?" Well, you don't have to throw that rod harder. You just have to make sure that the line is in the right place when you make your next move, and then let the line do the work for you. And so there's all these little subtle things that women are quite frankly it's easier for them to learn or understand than a lot of men. Most men get frustrated very quickly and they just want to flick it harder, man. Just throw it harder, it'll get there. Sometimes they're right, but most of the time it's just timing. It's more of a finesse type thing. It's also kind of mesmerizing. I have constantly have people come up to me on the water and they'll tell me, "Well, we've just been sitting here for the last 20 minutes watching you fish." And it's really because it's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful thing watching that fly line and that fly go. And when you see somebody that is good at it, does a great job of it, or it's just mesmerizing. And they're always telling me, "Well, I sure like to see you catch a big fish with that." And I'm like, "Well, I would too. I'd like to show you." But I've caught some pretty good fish. I catch, my share of decent fish. I don't go out and catch the big numbers of fish most of the time. In springtime, I do, but when it's more of a challenge, it's a challenge for everybody, really. Fishing, bass fishing in particular, that's what I focus on. Uh, it, well, the whole point of it is that it's supposed to be challenging. Um, so with fly fishing, doing it with fly fishing makes it even more challenging, and that's what I love. I love to challenge myself. Um, I think that if you're on the fence, I think that maybe you should give it a try. You could come out and fish with me for an afternoon. I'll be happy to show you the fundamentals, see if you like it, and then see if it's something you might pick up on and want to go with in the future. Also, I'll tell you, kids are really good at it too. Kids really have fun. I take kids out with their parents all summer long, and we almost always have a good time, even just catching little fish. No one's out there worrying about catching a world record. We just want to get out there and catch a few fish, and it's really a lot of fun. So I wanted to touch base with you on that today, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And while I'm here, I think while we're here, I'll do a separate video. I'm going to shoot a separate video, and I'm going to do a fishing report for Lake Fork, and look for that coming up later. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, safe travels. Hopefully the weather will hold up, and have a great day. This is Alex Guthrie signing off. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks. I don't know how.